raise your right hand for me if you would. I need to swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
That's Casey Anthony, hauled into court last Thursday by order of Judge Stan Strickland, struggling to raise her cuffed right hand as she's sworn in. I want to hear what you think about the latest developments in the Caylee Anthony murder case. Give me a holler. 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. Let's go straight to the phones. Alice in Wisconsin, your question, your thought, ma'am.
I was wondering if she received state aid, being she never worked or anything, and if so, did she collect it for the months that she hadn't reported Caylee missing?
Well, that's a fascinating question, Kathy Belch, because we know that she lied about having a job, and who knows where she was. There were many, many different reports.
I was having trouble understanding that question.
Well,
though.
Did she get any kind of aid, like when you're not working, you get unemployment benefits or welfare or something to that effect?
Not that we're aware of, but we do know she's been accused of stealing a lot of money from her family and from friends of hers. So maybe that's how she got money.
Right. In fact, those were some of the first charges she faced before the murder charge came down. Dawn, Washington, thought or question?
Hi, Jane. How are you?
Good.
Yes, I was wondering if Casey Anthony was the one that called that investigator, would the jail have that on record?
Oh, okay. Good question. Vinnie Parco, if Casey were the one who called, let's say for the payphone down the hall that we all see in the movies, they obviously would know that, right?
Yeah. No, all those calls are taped. I would assume that if the call came from anyone, it was her attorney.
Yeah, and again, we can't, we could speculate, but we don't know for sure.
No, that's why I said
Her attorney
Exactly.
says he did not call. Her attorney says he was not the one on the phone.
All right, well. But any phone calls from a jail are all monitored. Every
we've
call.
seen all her conversations with her family played on television, so certainly I would think they would have those phone calls. It's so fascinating to me. Why don't police just come out and say, Kathy Belch, who he was on the phone with? I mean, sometimes there's so much confusion and chaos generated by a circus like this about this one particular issue. You'd almost think it'd be in the best interest of authorities to just say, hey, we've done the search, here are the cell phone records, who's he talking to?
I don't know. I don't know if they have the cell phone records already at this point. Obviously, that's the first thing they would be looking for, checking the time, date stamp on the videotape to make sure that was accurate. Those are all things, of course, they would be doing. They don't always, come right out and tell everybody what they found. I think they have to talk to a lot of witnesses at this point, and they're still working on a murder case here as well. So,
by the way, here's Dominic Casey explaining what he would have done had he found little Caylee's remains when he searched that site back in November.
Had I had the misfortune to stumble across any remains, the first thing I would have done would have been I would have prayed. The second thing I would have done, I would have stayed right at the location and called 911.
Okay, now we're hearing from one account that he says, Judge Janine, that he was talking to his ill daughter, and then we also hear a report from another local station that he says he was talking to a psychic. Why don't authorities, they have leaked so much, we've gotten so much, and we're going to cover it. The fact that they're believing now that Casey killed Caylee intentionally and had the body in the trunk for 2 days. If they want to settle this once and for all, since it's obsessing everybody, why not just release or leak who he was on the phone with?
Because, Jane, it's not in the best interest of law enforcement to resolve the obsession that the media has. They're playing it close to the vest. They have done this from the beginning of this case. What is happening is they already know who the call was made to and who he was talking to. Make no mistake about that. As sure as I'm sitting here, they know that. But what's happening, Jane, if you watch the genesis of this whole investigation, they have known long in advance, and people have started to lock themselves and back into situations that are perjurous, that are possibly indictable. And so law enforcement sits back. There's no obligation to identify the evidence until they go to trial.
All right, but can I jump in and ask you a question?
Discovery.
Judge,
Sure.
Why then are we getting all these leaks about the forensics? We're being leaked reports that they now know the time frame very specifically of when little Caylee's body was dumped at that location, being June 18th. That was 2 days after they believed that Casey Anthony killed her intentionally. We're getting all sorts of detailed forensic information leaked by the authorities. Why are they doing that? To to send a message to a potential jury pool?
Well, you know what? I know where you're going, Jane, and what you're saying is that this can contaminate and pollute a potential jury pool, and you're absolutely right. As this stuff gets leaked, it's not good for the defendant, but you know what? When you have scientific records, they go back and forth. You've got all kinds of people involved, scientists involved. I mean, I'm not going to blame anybody, but what I'm saying is law enforcement does not have an obligation to show all their cards. They may be continuously investigating this guy, Dominic Casey. That's why they're not going to let him know what they know, because it's in their interest. They need him to testify if he's got information, and the way to do it is to squeeze him by getting enough evidence to file charges against him. And I don't think there's any question that's what's happening. Remember, they knew long in advance that there were internet searches for neck breaking and chloroform before we knew anything about it.
We got to leave it right there for now, but we're going to continue this. We have more bombshell developments to sort through. One of the strangest aspects of this case, meter reader Roy Kronk. Do you think Kronk will try to sell any photos he may have taken of the site where Kaylee's remains were found? Call 1-877. JVM says that's 1-877-586-7297. Let me know. First, let's listen to Kronk's August 911 call, leading police to the very same area where Kaylee's remains were found.
There's a swamp, and if you're heading back out towards the main road on the left-hand side, in an area, I noticed something that looked white, and there was, I don't know what it is. I'm not telling you it's, Kaylee or anything of that nature.